Hello, everyone. This is episode 9. I don't know how we got to episode 9, but it somehow came after the 8th one.
Yes, usually.
That's usually how it goes, but before the 10th. So what are we going to plan for the 10th one? We're going to have like a cake or something? We should get a cake. We should have them bring a cake in. Just 10 hot takes.
Hot takes and hot cakes.
Whoa. Can we sell that?
Yeah, maybe we can sell that.
So it can't be a cold cake.
No, it's going to be fresh out of the oven.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe pancakes.
Ooh.
Hot takes and pancakes.
Ooh, I really like that. And we can't do waffles because those are not cakes.
Right.
What are waffles?
Square pancakes?
I don't think that's how it works, but okay. I don't think so. Where'd my buttons go? What the hell happened? There we go. This is a professional. There we go. Professional. I have my buttons. That's actually the weird thing about having a virtual control surface. I remember it was like 10 or 15 years ago when they showed off that Art Lebedev keyboard where each button was an LCD and you could program it. And then back then it was like, oh my God, like that is so... Is this Jetsons? And now it's everywhere. I've got one sitting right here next to me, so I can switch camera angles.
Did it look like a Stream Deck, or was it like...
No, it was like an actual keyboard.
So people are like, I programmed it with the letters and the numbers.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And if you want to, like, press L and you get MySpace. That's how... That's how it works.
That's how old it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Press W and you get Winamp.
I was going to say Facebook over MySpace, if we're talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Press L for LimeWire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And K is for Kazaa. It's right there.
Wow.
Yeah. B for Bearshare.
There's one mission of this keyboard.
And somehow it stops working after 30 days for some reason.
Was it because of Y2K?
Because of the viruses, usually. Shareware. Shareware.
Yeah.
It was an Art Lebedev. It was like industrial, and you could tell it was like, this is the best. It was like Russian or something like that. It was the full 108 keys and all that, and I think it sold for like $2,500.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which I mean,
each CRT screens.
Yeah, exactly. The little warming up the tubes every time you wanted to use your keyboard.
Yeah,
that's absurd. Yeah, so we need a bunch of those in here. That's our 10th special. Is we're just gonna get those keyboards and just type. That's great. Cool. All right, let's start the show. Hello and welcome to Hot Takes and Streaming Breaks, the bi-weekly pop culture podcast brought to you by 6035 Media. I'm your host, reporter Nick Raven, and joining me virtually in the studio. I don't know why I kept virtually in there. I did that. I should have thought, you know what? This is not about thinking today. This is episode 9. We are not at episode 10. Joining me in the studio, to my right, dude who's seen too much TV and stuff, and we're going to talk about that as well. Kelly Karnetsky, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm okay.
You doing okay? Just okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just warm.
I am just warm. Yeah.
Warm takes.
Yeah.
And
sorry, not hot takes today.
Yeah, and streaming pause.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also joining me, account executive Viktoria Costantino. How are you doing?
I'm ready for some spicy takes.
You're ready for some... Okay.
Yes.
The hair. You did the hair thing.
Yeah.
Between episodes. If you're listening to this, you cannot hear the hair.
No, but the hair can hear you. I just have a flaming red hair now at this point.
Okay.
And I love it. I would like to say it is my excitement for the new Little Mermaid movie.
Okay.
See, there you go. Kind of brought it around.
You've got a blue
pop
top
culture.
and you've got the red hair. Yeah.
There we go.
It's like, do we need to put up some like paper fish or something around here?
I would like a full 50-gallon aquarium.
Yes.
And sounds great. I don't know.
I wonder if like in Dubai they have like podcast booth that is inside an aquarium. So like as you're podcasting, they just have like sharks swimming around and like algae and like anemones and stuff like that.
Let's do that. That sounds great.
Can we put that in the budget? 6035memberships.org. Help us in Hot Takes and Streaming Breaks. Get us our aquarium, not themed, but actual podcast facility. We are moving steps ahead. We are streets ahead on this.
Yeah. What do you cool area, right? It'd always be like a constant temperature.
I think, right?
Like
I don't know. How cold is water?
I was sitting there thinking, like, is it like caves?
Well, we're going to talk about water, maybe?
We're going to talk about water.
I feel like we're going to talk about some water.
We're just tying everything together.
Yeah.
Little mermaid, water.
Exactly.
Aquariums.
Yes, we are. It's all coming together exactly as I'd planned. Everything you have said has been scripted.
Wow. I feel it. I feel like it has.
Are you guys? So this teleprompter right here. Anyway, let's get to the news. Hear this noise. This morning there was a thing that happened. The Oscar nominations are out. So
Yes.
I remember working in cable when the Oscars would happen, and there would be so many mad people that would come in and they'd call us if the Oscars were not available. And 12 years later, I am so very surprised at how hard it is to just watch the Oscars online through not nefarious places.
I have a life hack for that.
Oh, do you?
That I learned in my unnamed IT career.
Okay.
Just use a paperclip. Put a paperclip inside of your cable port in the back of your TV. It works the same as an antenna. I am dead serious. I have a paperclip in 2 of my TVs at home, and then you can tune into, what is it, ABC that has the Oscars?
ABC, yeah.
It will
We've got
work.
that locked down.
I guarantee you it works.
Yeah, but that sounds really great.
It's not nefarious at all.
It's free TV.
It's free TV. It's broadcast.
Free TV.
You can't meme over a podcast.
Yes, I can. You guys saw it, didn't you? Hang on, where's Derry? You saw this anyway. So the Oscars came out. I only had some highlights in here. We can get into it. The Best Picture nominees: All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar 2: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin. Inisherin. Thank you. I knew someone would figure that.
I have seen it.
Okay. All right.
Should I?
Let me roll down the rest of the. Yeah, let me roll down.
Go through.
Elvis. You may have heard of that. Elvis.
Elvis?
He was a singer, dancer.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what?
Elvis Presley.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and they actually led nominations of the 11, which kind of blew my mind. The Fabelmans, Viktoria, Spielberg film Tar with Cate Blanchett, Top Gun Maverick for, the more masculine voters, I guess. Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking, which I believe was the Me Too investigation movie, I think.
I think so. That's one of the few I haven't seen. I've seen, I counted 6 out of 10 of these.
Uh-huh.
So I've made a pretty good dent, but I watch all the Best Picture nominees every year. That's my personal tradition. So I can tell you all about them.
Good. I was going to say, as the arts and culture / cultural reporter here at 6035, I've seen 2.
2.
I've been
which
too
ones
busy
have
going
you
to art.
seen?
Top Gun and Avatar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I did watch a video essay by Broe Deschanel about Elvis. So I think I'm caught up. I think I'm good in there.
Oh, honey.
All right, so broadly, what are your takes on some of these, since you have seen most of them literally?
Quite literally, most of them.
Yeah, quite literally.
If we're using percentages, I guess.
What's a 6 out of 10 in adjective form?
Sure, we'll go with most. You're the writer.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, yeah. So, what do you think about this broad list of stuff that we got?
This is the least surprising Best Picture list that I've seen, but we also forget about other good movies that have come out this year. Things like Nope came out this year. That was my favorite movie of the year. Barbarian was pretty great along the same lines as Nope. Probably could have gotten away with some screenplay nods, but didn't get anything. There's a lot.
I gotta mute my phone too.
We just need to know that the Oscars are very subjective, so we just gotta go with what we got.
I thought they had a metric attached to them. It's like, this is 99.7% Oscar ready. Yeah. Especially if you like. I don't know for that. Especially if you release in December, which is November, December. That's when all that stuff happens. They release all those.
All the movies?
Yeah, all the Oscar bait. You release those at the end of the year.
Yeah, usually end of the year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why all the prestige movies come out during that time, because they're fresh on everyone's minds as they start
recency bias.
For your consideration, please. Yeah, don't release your Oscar bait in January, because everyone's going to forget. It's like, man, no, that was last year.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah. You know, now you can produce an Oscar-winning film.
Exactly.
You've got enough time.
You've got enough time.
November, December, and I'm good.
Let me go down some of the highlights here. We're talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Michelle Yeoh becomes the first Asian American to be nominated for Best Actress.
She is fantastic in this movie.
And she's in everything right now. I swear, I turned my head.
Everywhere All at Once.
Oh,
wow, you missed that one.
You know, what I did was I set you up because this is scripted.
Okay, got it.
Back to
she is fantastic in this movie.
Yeah. I'll see it someday. That is totally a movie I should see too. Like, that is
very up your alley.
Yeah, that is like 1999-ish, because it's from the directors who brought us Turned Down for What video. It's
Swiss
those guys.
Army Man.
Yeah. They are proteges of Eric Warheim, of Tim and Eric. So they've got that zaniness going on.
The Daniels.
Yes, absolutely. Plenty of that. Fabelmans has 7. Is down the. I missed some because there's so many nominees. There's so many winners. Victoria, there are so many winners.
There are so many winners. we gotta have, what is it, a mid-Atlantic?
Yeah, the mid-Atlantic accent. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yes, definitely.
So many winners.
You know, I really. All right, now I'm just doing freaking
Defoe.
Jimmy Stewart. Oh, you know, I really like these movies. These are really great. Lots of frames. Top Gun Maverick has 6.
Do you have what they're nominated for?
No, I don't have it. That was too much data.
Well, because I gotta give it to Top Gun Maverick, even though it is like the bro movie, right?
Yeah.
All of those actors learned how to fly those planes. They built cameras to fit inside of those planes.
Well, they had to set up all the shot. Like, they'd have to turn on all the cameras, and then if they didn't get the shot right, it's like, you're going back up there, buddy. You're going to go get that footage.
As far as technical achievements, it's
that's
probably
pretty
up there
hardcore.
with Avatar. You know,
Tom Cruise did not get a nod for Best Actor.
You know, I am not surprised.
What? He's amazing. He can run.
He can run.
He can run. I watched that video essay. I don't remember who did it, though.
Oh, God, I feel like that's an old one, too.
No, it's relatively new.
Oh.
That's
I'm thinking 2 different things about Tom Cruise running, which is very funny.
Yes. Black Panther Wakanda Forever has 5, but not Best Picture. Avatar 2, the Smurf movie, has 4, including Best Picture. And Glass Onion apparently has 1 for Best Adapted Screenplay by Rian Johnson. Now, what the heck did he adapt?
That is fascinating. I have no idea what he adapted.
Good thing I don't have the entire sum of human knowledge at hand to figure that out. These are kind of interesting because even though I haven't seen hardly any of them, I know of them. And in my YouTube-oriented world, I've seen a video essay about pretty much all of them at this point. So I feel like I have seen it, or enough that YouTube has not automatically copyright, claimed it, rejecting videos from monetization and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about Avatar 2, the water movie, in the main event. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting list. The snub I saw was like The Woman King.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard it's a pretty good movie.
We snubbed it here too.
Yeah, I mean,
cold takes.
Honestly, what probably should get it is The Fabelmans. Out of the ones that I've seen, The Fabelmans is a fun biopic, literal fable about Steven Spielberg's life, and it is accessible, and it is
schmaltz. I've heard it's not as schmaltzy as his usual stuff.
Right. But knowing that it's about his life, you're willing to be forgiving with everything that's in it. And frankly, it is a pretty powerful story. It's easy to make, between his father that doesn't see his skill to his mother that's clearly dealing with mental illness. You want to place villainy and victim on all of these people. But he does a really good job in a biopic of showing that that's not how life is. Mm-hmm. There is never one villain. There is never one hero. They're really well broken down characters, and it's funny and it's nice and it's sad. It checks all the boxes. I don't know how that one wouldn't win because of how accessible it is.
I think the villain here is the people who don't go to the movie theaters and they stay home streaming stuff. Yeah. So speaking of which, you want to talk about Last of Us, Kels?
Sure.
Yeah. Tip us out. So none of us have played the games. This is a great way to have hot takes.
Right.
A real gamer fail on all three of us here.
Yeah, but you have to own a PlayStation.
Yeah, not an Xbox.
Not an Xbox. No, no, or a personal computer,
right.
but Station. Oui. What do you think of Last of Us?
So I mean, like I watched like the opening of the game, right? Like a while ago.
Okay.
And the show is like spot on. But like it has like more emotion to it, like you feel more attached to the characters.
You're not pressing X to cut someone's head off or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Cross, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was like I was really, really interested in that because I just the way that it like opened up, I was like, okay, well I'm attached to these characters, and then they just do a great job on that stuff, on like following like the opening of the game really well, and then beyond that I don't know how well follows the game.
I wonder. I understand that it's. I don't know if it's like a note for note recreation of just all the cutscenes from the games or what.
This is basically what it was.
I've heard that several of them are very close.
Yeah,
very very close in episode 2 as well.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's like really done really well. Some of the CG is pretty good too.
Okay.
I was really impressed with that. So
I saw like makeup and stuff of the people, the zombies or whatever.
Yeah,
it was really really creepy.
Yeah, and then like I love the dynamic between Joel and Ellie, and like it's so good. And then the girl that plays it, she's the girl from Lady. So I can't remember her name from Game of Thrones. She was like the young one in the show.
Young sassy one.
Yes, and she's like
excellent.
Yeah, and she's like that in this, but she's like way more sass and everything like that. And so I was like, okay, yeah, she does like such a good job as Ellie, and I think their dynamic between the two of them is really good. And like you feel really immersed into the show. Like it feels good. Like there's definitely parts where you're like, wow, video game.
Is that how that works?
But I think it's a really good like adaptation of that. Like I can't
from what we don't know.
Yeah. But I mean like just based off of like like video games, whenever you think of that, because everybody wants to hate on Mario Bros, but like one of the
that was pretty
video
accurate
game adaptations, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So when you compare it to that, it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty good. I love Pedro Pascal too, so
yeah.
He is fantastic. First of all, he's a beautiful human being, and I could look at him all day. But
you have to live and breathe, yeah.
But you do have to live and breathe. Also, for the hot takes, is this the best video game adaptation we've seen on screen? Spicy takes. I don't know. It's pretty dang
We've
close.
got Super Mario coming out still.
Well, it's not out yet.
I know, but like, I mean, The Witcher's really good too. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it might be better than the Witcher series.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll just let that question linger.
But is Witcher adapting the cutscenes of The Witcher?
They're not. I would say no.
And maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And also, technically, The Witcher is an adaptation of a novel series.
Yes.
So
Sure. Yeah.
they've
And
got
that guy
another-
does not like the adaptations of his novels.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I thought you've seen both.
I've seen both of them.
Okay.
So, in a little perspective, one of my favorite movies of all time is Annihilation, which is based off of a book as well.
Alex Garland. Yeah.
Alex Garland. I love Alex Garland. I could talk all day about that. But I know very little about The Last of Us, and I'm sitting next to my husband that knows everything about The Last of Us, and I am stunned by A, how good this looks, that B, this is another zombie show. Frankly, is it that different at this point? Granted, we're only in 2 episodes as of this recording.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really that different than watching a season of The Walking Dead as far as, like, plot points? Maybe not. But the character development is really good. The visuals are really good. I'm glad all those Walking Dead actors got a job. Man, that is awesome. I love they're using like fungus as the conduit for all of the zombies.
That's all it was.
And yeah, apparently it's that way in the game. I had no idea. Like I said, I don't know nothing about
what's
that.
a video game?
But
I
it
don't even
looks
know.
Awesome, and it feels like such a refreshing take on a pretty typical zombie story.
Have they said how long they want to like make this or something? Because
Great question.
I wonder, like, especially you made the Walking Dead comparison. It's like, cool. When's the part where they stop following the source material and then run right off the rails into the desert of misery, and then switch showrunners, and then Neil Druckmann is just there, kind of as a label.
And Neil Druckmann's one of the game creators, right?
Yeah, and there was a controversy.
He directed the second episode.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what you do. Everyone works 100-hour weeks until this gets directed. Let's go. The co-creator supposedly did not get credit, even though he was there at the beginning for the original game. He was credited in the remake that they did for PS4, PS5, but he did not get a credit in the show. And his name is not on my list because I wasn't going to talk about unions. But
You didn't get a credit here either.
no, exactly. Wow. So it's like maybe we should have a video game union or something like that and take care of that noise, so that people get properly credited. So, I don't know.
Well, and that said, Craig Mazin is the one who is doing The Last of Us, and he's known mostly for Chernobyl that was on HBO.
Right.
It's fantastic, and I think the perfect person to tell this kind of story with a scientific background. I think this show is maybe one of the better ones that's on right now. That's actively on right now.
Well, now that we've said that and it's out in the universe, third episode's going to be complete trash. It's just going to be like.
Why would you jinx it like that?
I didn't. I'm just observe. This is Schrodinger's episode here. Like this, by observing this
simultaneously
particle
in and out of the studio.
Yes, exactly. That's how this works. So cool. I'm glad it's got a good start. I'm a little, having not played the game, I'm a little weary that it does abide so much to the
You're
original.
never going to play the game, so just watch the show.
Don't tell me that.
You have plenty of time to play the game.
Well, eventually it'll be on PC if Sony slowly releases stuff out to the PC platform. So,
well, then you'll be able to be like, oh wow, this was in the show. They did a good job of the game following the show.
Yeah, this game,
the game
though,
follows
I don't know.
the show,
Yeah.
follows the game,
yeah.
follows the show.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just eating itself.
Yeah.
Like a zombie full of mushrooms. Weird.
Fungus.
Speaking of unions
Oh, I guess
and
that
weird,
was mushrooms,
the fungus among us. I don't know what's
huh?
going
Did you write a joke there?
No, I just said that out loud, and
No.
That's embarrassing for you.
I feel weak. Number 2, if you want to read that off there.
All right. From PC Gamer? Yeah.
Yes.
Blizzard fires World of Warcraft Classic lead after he protests employee evaluation policy. Brian Birmingham, who is the lead engineer on WoW Classic, refused to give an employee a low evaluation in order to meet a quota introduced by Blizzard in 2021. The process called, quote, stack ranking requires managers to give about 5% of their employees a low performance evaluation to fit on a bell curve of relative performance. According to Activision Blizzard sources who spoke to Bloomberg, a low rating reduces an employee's profit-sharing bonus and, quote, could hamper them from receiving raises or promotions in the near future.
Yeah, this was a big thing. This was a big Steve Ballmer thing over at Microsoft. I think probably Bill Gates before that. It was apparently it came out of the 80s. It was a real solid way to put fire under the butts of engineers and that. So you tell them, even if they're doing the best work they've ever done, I've got to tell 5% of you that you are literally the worst of the best, and then hinder your career goals so that, we can be trash, basically. Yeah. Microsoft ended the practice in 2013, but Activision Blizzard, ahead of their very slow-moving merger acquisition by Microsoft is a big deal. So what do you think of stack ranking as a principle?
I mean, I guess I'm just trying to really comprehend how it works as an employment.
So you have 100 employees.
Yeah.
And so you rate them all, and so you have your top 5% that those are the superstars. Those are the ones who get cakes on their birthdays. And then by just law of sheer numbers, the bottom 5, no matter how high their scores are, you have to say that, well, you're the bottom 5, and we're going to hinder your opportunities to advance and put these penalties on you until you get better. And so they were talking about companies that would do this. They would have people would sabotage other people to ensure that they didn't end up at the bottom, or they would join teams that were underperforming just so that they would be the one that stood out, and then the rest of the team would get lower performance scores. So they would just put this pressure, just artificial pressure on this arbitrary number of people, or this arbitrary group of people that just happened to be not as high as other people. And that was, for the longest time, how they did productivity and measured performance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this guy was going to quit, and they fired him anyway.
Yeah. It just seems really I guess old school. I don't know how if you have a business, right, and you have these goals that the business needs to meet, and you have goals for employees that they need to meet, right, performance goals and stuff like that. So if they meet those performance goals, then they meet them. If they don't, then they don't, right, versus not. Instead of, okay, all of you guys met the performance goals, but that is that. So you're basing it off of a team instead of individual performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, but it just seems so weird.
How did you know?
Yeah, I can understand maybe if it's team based as well as that, but not
individual
separate.
Scores.
Yeah, not individual scores that are that you're battling against other people. That's not an individual score.
That's Knives Out kind of stuff. Yeah. That's a Rian Johnson movie right there.
Yeah, that just seems really weird. I'm surprised that's.
Still things are done. Yeah. That's a Bobby Kotick thing. Of course, he's a widget maker. The games are just widgets to him. Call of Duty is just another rubber duck coming out of an assembly line. How can you make the rubber duck cheaper? Give it a battle pass, of course. That's how you that's how you do it. That's definitely frustrating that still exists, and it would probably get yanked in some future acquisition. I don't know. At this point, I don't even know how that thing's going, because everyone's coming for Microsoft. I think the EU has already said yo, hold up. We're going to pause this thing. They've been working on it forever. But that's what happens when you're buying a company for $70 billion. So, whatever. That's how it goes. Go ahead and give me number 3. This was a thing that has been bubbling up, and I had to spend an hour yesterday reading up and trying to get the grasp what the heck this thing was.
Okay. So this is from Gizmodo. It says, canceled D&D Beyond subscriptions forced Hasbro's hand. In a message titled "An Update on the Open Game License," posted on the website for D&D Beyond, Wizards of the Coast's official digital toolset. The company addressed many of the concerns raised after the leak of the Open Gaming License 1.1 earlier in the week and walked them back fast. Notable changes include the elimination of royalty structures and the promise to clarify ownership of copyright and intellectual property.
Yeah, so there was a thing that came out just last month about the update. Wizards of the Coast owns D&D. They have for a number of years now. They have this digital online subscription thing where you can access all their assets and stuff like that called Beyond. And at one point, some Hasbro executive was like, D&D is under-monetized, which is a great word to do anything with.
Especially in the year of 2023.
Yeah.
Demonetized? D&D?
Under-monetized.
Under-monetized?
Under-monetized.
Not demonetized. This isn't YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. No copyright claims here, actually. So there was a leaked document that the OG... So the way it worked was the open gaming license that D&D has had forever is basically said that you can use the base components of Dungeons and Dragons, the mechanics, the classes, a good chunk of the intellectual property, and then build and sell like campaigns and assets and stuff like that. And a lot of people were using crowdfunding to put these things together, pieces and this and that. And you could do that and you didn't have to report your income. You didn't have to report what you were doing to Wizards of the Coast and stuff like that. So here they leaked, it was 1.1 last month. And basically it was now everyone who was under that 1.0 license, that's going to be null and void. That was like a huge component of it. And then you have to register. There's like multiple tiers of revenue. So if you're below such and such a point, you only have to pay this. But if you get so much, especially from Kickstarter campaigns and stuff like that, say you raise $800,000 on Kickstarter was an example. Even if you're in the red, you still have to pay Wizards of the Coast like a quarter of that or something like that. And you're having to regularly check in with them. There are restrictions here left and right on what can be used. And it was a heckin' mess when that leaked out. And it seemed to have got like IO9 has had some pretty comprehensive coverage on it. And it's like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing. And then in response, I think Paizo, they make Pathfinder their former D&D peeps. They're like, oh, we got this. You guys, in perpetuity, in a revocable open gaming license with our stuff. Come over here. And so they've spent basically they were going to have a stream about this new OGL in January, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And they've kind of come around and said, well, maybe we'll do a 1.2 where we explain this stuff, and it won't be, we're going to get feedback from the public. I think we're going to
they've gotten some feedback.
Yeah, I think
if anyone's on D&D Twitter, you've definitely seen the feedback.
Yeah, the hashtag OpenDND has been big on Twitter, which is remarkably still a site that you can go to. I'm just kind of surprised about that. That's heckin' nuts. But also that's kind of the late stage capitalist life that we lead now, where everyone owns everything that we own. We're going to rent, we're going to subscribe to food in the future.
I've always said this, that you should never build a business on top of somebody else's business.
Sure. And
it's tough, I think, for a situation like this, because we all know that D&D has exploded in popularity over the past decade, especially due to, frankly, let's be honest, Stranger Things. The part of which it's just in zeitgeist for general nerdy culture is where the problem is. It's not even, building off of somebody else's business. This is part of culture now.
It's like Star Wars.
At least Star Wars was branded from the beginning. You can say that a lot of these, you can say that a lot of classes and a lot of concepts are, a lot of them are based off of tradition and from legends that have been told over generations. I mean, I don't know. I struggle with the concept.
Yeah, and I agree to your point. I mean, it's the same thing with like YouTubers who rely exclusively on ad revenue from them, and they don't have a Patreon, they don't have merch, they don't have this or that on top of that. That's really
Or
short-sighted.
whenever you're using a business's API and they decide to shut it down.
Or like Twitter, you know, exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense, but it's like this thing's been in place for a while. And D&D is really far beyond, I mean, just by the nature of how it works, it's just grown so far beyond what they did in-house as far as content. So, yeah, I mean, they can yank it. They can say, oh, you can only make a D&D thing if we say so in these specific terms, and we're watching you over your shoulder to make sure you treat the property just right.
For me, it has the same vibes as when I learned that the Happy Birthday song is copyrighted, so they can't sing it in Red Robin or whatever at you.
Yeah.
That's how it feels to me. This is enough part of the culture at large that... How do you think you can break it down to each individual person?
Yeah, but these guys, they're not going after people that are doing stuff for free. They're only going after people that are generating money.
Well, sure, but if you've got, indie person that's making their own, selling it on Etsy for a couple $100, and, that's all they make in a year, and you're going to charge them for it? Oh, come on.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're making something based off of somebody else's stuff, then you owe them money. Like if somebody did that for anything I created, I would expect royalties.
But is what you've created become part of a broader zeitgeist?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, all that stuff is like that. Like,
Doesn't everyone know about Kelly's Burgers? It's like,
I'm just saying, like, all this stuff, like, I mean, like, you can be upset about it, but, like, I mean, we talk about YouTube or Google. Like, I think those, like, Google should be a public utility because they can just turn off people's accounts and you got 20 plus years worth of data.
Oh yeah,
and their stuff, and they can just shut you down for violating whatever term that
nationalize
they decide.
Google.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
the public
so
Android phone.
So I'm just saying that there's like things like that where like we base all this stuff off of other people's things, and I understand that like it sucks, but like if I worked so hard to build something and I was like, oh, hey guys, I want people to use this, and then people are turning around, they're making tons of money, and then all this stuff, like I want some of that. I built it. It got popular because I built it.
But at the same time, like it's not like they have full access to everything. They don't have an unlimited license to do stuff, and it has the clout. And this is again, like a huge part of the appeal is not what Wizards of the Coast or D&D did themselves. It is what people have been adding on for years. Mm-hmm. So it's the
backtracking.
It's like if you charged people to upload to YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's like the F. Why would you do that?
They do, though.
I was really close there. That was really great.
In terms of your privacy, right?
Your
metadata.
I mean, that's how. Yeah, exactly. They know exactly where I am at this moment. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. YouTube.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I think it's just really hard to do that and to get upset over something like that. Just because I agree. It sucks. Like, especially whenever looking back at like Twitter or TwitPic, whatever, like those businesses just went under, right? Like they had nothing unless Twitter bought them.
Yeah,
they were just completely not a business anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and then I wonder about the other thing, like how well is D&D going to survive off of this when they're running the small businesses to the ground and infuriating their fan base? Is maybe going to be more of a disservice to them than what they're doing.
It's one of those things where it's like it's totally legal, but like at one point, like how much are they just eating themselves doing this? Like, of course, it's in your right to totally shut the floodgates off and say we're confiscating everything you've ever owned and will ever make because it's got a D&D logo in there somewhere. I mean, they can do that. How often do you read your EULA?
Yeah,
exactly.
But I mean, I think that the way that it should have done, maybe they'll do this, is like have, again, like they do off of tiers or whatever, right? Like there's software out there. It's like free personal licenses, right? Businesses have this. Do something like that, right? Like you as an individual wanting to create whatever, you can continue doing that for free, even selling it, as long as you're under a certain revenue or something like that.
Some revenue band.
If you're making more than $10,000 a year off of our IP, then yeah, you should owe us money.
Right.
That, like something like that, maybe, but
something in between, or open it up and see what people will tolerate and make the case for it instead of, well, we can do it, so we're going to do it.
Eh. I mean,
sure.
I mean,
this is like
Mr.
I'm not,
Moneybags over
No, no,
here.
no.
Mr. Moneybags,
Yeah.
nickel-in and dime.
No,
Yeah.
I'm so anti all of that stuff, but I'm just like, it's somebody else's stuff, and you're making money. Like,
But you established an agreement that said you could do all this stuff, and you're like, pray I do not, I'm changing the deal, pray I don't alter it further,
Yeah, I
Licenses
think
change
their
all the time.
opportunity was missed. I think that this should have been something that they addressed long, long ago. And to do it now it's the timing of it all. It's we're in the post-Stranger Things world, or post-getting this into normalized conversation world.
Or post-pandemic, post like the world that exists right now.
Post all of these things, that if you would have done this, when was D&D invented?
Like 70s.
70s, something like that. You've had how many years to put this into writing, and just now you're doing it? To me, it's like, you're clearly just doing it just to make an extra buck, not because you thought ahead as a business.
Well, and
that seems to be your failure as a business.
And there was actually one clause in there in the 1.1 document that was like, you can basically only use Kickstarter as your crowdsource, a crowdfunding platform. So like Indiegogo or whatever the ones that are left now, GoFundMe, like those are out. Like, also, does anyone use GoFundMe for anything other than medical bills at this point?
I don't think so.
I don't. Tragedy. You know who joined GoFundMe not that long ago? I think it was like their CTO or like chief something. Jay Allard from Microsoft, the Xbox guy who wore the blazer on top of the hoodie with the bald head and was in charge of Zune and Kin.
he joined like the company, or he joined like registered for an account, and he's like,
I definitely thought that's what you meant at first.
Let me tell you guys, I verified my email.
Yeah.
They know,
So I was like, dang, oh, that's cool.
Set up my 2-factor on my GoFundMe so that no one's hacking into my aunt's. Anyway, that got really dark. People. Oh, speaking of terrible things, I was actually going to flip this around, but I'm an idiot. So you can rate number 4.
All right, from Windows Central. Microsoft has laid off entire teams behind virtual, mixed reality, and HoloLens. In the latest update in the massive Microsoft layoffs. Why do you ask me to read these? We now have a better idea of how deep the cuts run in Microsoft's mixed reality team. The team behind AltSpace VR and the Mixed Reality Toolkit have been laid off in their entirities. Potentially, these layoffs throw serious doubt on the future of HoloLens, which is currently struggling to retain its military contract with the U.S. government.
So everyone's doing layoffs right now because that's what you do. At the same time, I actually have a friend.
They built their business off the pandemic.
Actually, you laugh, but it's like entirely true.
I know
it's like they
They
overhired.
built their business on top of another business.
You know. Here's the thing: like everyone's going to be working remote forever. Everyone's going to always need computers and cameras and stuff like that because they're working remotely. They're going to be at home all the time, consuming Netflix and streaming services. This is something that we cannot think about or think around. It is just the way it's going to be. Let's hire 40,000 people tomorrow.
That's putting a lot of trust in the bosses that don't trust people to work at home.
Yeah. The actually one of the things
That's why they want them to come back.
There's obviously been a lot of the pushback around bringing people back to the office because they spend all that money on office real estate, and you can't let that go to waste.
That's not why.
All right, Kels, what is
It's hot takes time.
It's time.
I'm just saying that's an excuse. They want them back because they can watch them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they could if they put in some special software or whatever, just clocked in from wherever.
Yeah.
At Microsoft in particular, and this is a ping-ponging thing, right? Metaverse stuff. Who cares, right? Mixed reality. Who cares? HoloLens. That was an interesting demo. You know, I remember the Minecraft thing where they're sitting there with the table and like sculpting with stuff and playing with it. That was cool, but that was like a decade ago.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I've seen like, I don't know, some military commercial, and I think they're wearing something like that. A HoloLens.
There was, in fact, that's actually what she's mentioning there with the military contract is like people are getting sick.
They're like, because
soldiers are getting sick wearing HoloLens stuff.
How?
Because the future, man, it's digital.
They got so much information right there in their face.
Don't you?
It's army of one, but they can see the entire battlefield.
Yeah, right. That's too much
information. Yeah.
No one man should have all that power.
Right.
That's Ye got it right. It's really interesting.
Makes their jobs easier when they got the manual. They're working on things right there, step by step.
Actually, I thought that was one of the coolest applications is you'd like be a mechanic or something. It's like I'm working on a Benz. I need to see, remove this part right here. Apply this right here.
Or even if you have a freaking YouTube video streaming while you're like working on something, like there's so many times.
That's just...
No, there's no. I'm talking about like not like I'm watching the podcast.
I'm watching PewDiePie while I'm working on this.
I'm talking about like there's so many times where you're
sitting there with your phone.
Yeah. I'm trying to repair my washer, and I'm sitting there watching a YouTube video as I'm like, okay, so how do you take this apart again?
Yeah.
Okay. And then and I'm pausing, and I got to put my phone back in my pocket or put it down. And I do something. I'm like, okay, that's not right.
Or you're putting it on a precarious edge, and it falls out, and it falls between the washer and the wall.
Right, but I'm sitting there trying to do stuff, and it's still trailing on, and I'm like I got to pause it. I got to pause it. Yeah.
Siri, stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that'd be useful. You're trying to like a DIYer trying to do stuff.
Now, what if it was in your face?
Yeah, exactly. I'd love it.
And what if it made you sick?
It wouldn't make me sick.
It would probably make you sick. It wasn't like, I don't remember it was like, it was enough that it was very concerning. It's like, we're paying however much for these headsets. They're wrapping around our heads. We've got the helmets on top.
VR doing all this stuff. Is still so far from being perfected.
We've been saying that for like a trillion years. Well, like, when are we ever going to get to VR? Right? Are we ever?
We've spent all this time and we still haven't gotten it perfected. Meanwhile, they're like, yes, military budget.
Yeah.
Let's throw it at it and that'll be fine.
But let's find a Republican that's going to totally, and there's going to be a Republican that's so into, oh my God, how are we going to fight? In terrible theaters of war, Richard freaking Nixon. If we don't have mixed reality, how are we going to do it?
That's true.
It
got it right. Just like what they say in Top Gun. Enemies got our manual. So
Enemies got download a PDF. Yeah.
So
right.
Really bringing that one full circle.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what the conflict really was in my head is like, it makes sense that Microsoft is ditching all this mixed reality stuff because nothing's paid off. Apple supposedly got a headset coming out later this year that will maybe make it make sense. Maybe.
This is a play by Microsoft to get Apple to cancel theirs.
Oh. Oh, you quitting first? Because we're quitting first.
I'm just saying, like, and then they're like, oh, we're just kidding. Yeah. Microsoft's going to say we're going 100%.
And so
dedicated. We hired additional people now.
Stealth mode. Yeah, there's gonna be that app, those really beautiful Apple promo videos, and then out of nowhere here comes this like B3 bomber that comes out, and it's like Microsoft, and they've got like mixed reality headsets, like stuff like that. Getting to my point here. Hang on. The idea that they're giving up on all this stuff. Even though they're this company that is so big and so wealthy and they're making so much money, you think of, it's like, how are you making so much money and then firing so many people? You clearly have the money to do this. And then the other side is, no, we are never going to work on mixed reality ever again. We will never need these people. We hired them specifically for this cause, for this job, and they're not going to go and like work on Excel. Okay, that's not how this is going to work. But then at the other side, well, why don't you create new entrepreneur opportunities for them? And it's like, no, but that's going to like drag down the efficiency and just like back and forth in my mind about these layoffs across like. There was a report out last week where Google employees were going up to their headquarters, and you knew if you were fired if it was a red light at the reader and not a green one. So you just have these people lining up.
Or you couldn't log into your email.
Yeah, exactly. You just boop. Okay, well, goodbye, guys.
Yeah.
Like, not even getting any sit down with their higher up, their superior, anything like that. It's just, well, you're just not here anymore. That's the Amazon way.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't know, is that more or less heartbreaking than someone sitting you down and going, okay, well, what do you think? All right, well, we've decided that we're going to terminate your employment with such and such company and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I just don't understand how the companies can just do that without doing that stuff. You just can't get in the building anymore without notice.
There were like 16, 20-year veterans of these companies, and everyone's laying everyone off arbitrarily, it seems. Like Alphabet is laying off people with their Waymo group, which is like almost entirely R&D. You're laying off these like PhD level employees in computer science so that, Larry Page can say we fired 10,000 people.
It's heartless, yes. At the same time, maybe just do a little bit better planning.
Yeah, maybe they could have and that was the other ping pong. It's like, well, why didn't they just anticipate the fact that the pandemic will end someday, and some people will go back to the office and other people won't. It was not going to be an either or. It's going to be full remote or full in office thing anymore. So what the heck? I remember being in that cable job. People were working from home.
Oh, yeah.
Which sounds like the most absolutely miserable thing in the entire universe, especially with my cat. Like, oh my God. Meow. Meow. Okay, ma'am, I'm going to get you HBO. Meow.
I think people are used to that, though.
I want to talk to your manager. Meow.
Right. I think I've been so used to that whenever I call and I can hear somebody's kids or their dog or cat in the background. You're just like, or traffic or construction. Like,
yeah.
I'm used to it now. I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is just how it is now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be this quiet background or just the buzz of the rest of the call center anymore.
That's usually what I get, but I also I haven't had one yet, but I'm totally imagining it's like, yeah, I'll be more than happy to help with the internet service. Okay, honey, the crackers are over there. Okay, Dad's on a call. All right, please. Okay, thank you. All right, buddy.
I'm sure it happens.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Yeah, that's reality. But also, I do not want to do one of those jobs from home. Criminy. Scary. Speaking of scary, we have the main event. I made a joke during the break. You missed it. It's not even recorded. It's gone forever. We watched, all of us now, the Eiffel 65 movie, Part 2.
This is a joke for only you.
Well, now I feel so lonely. Anyway.
Would you say you feel blue?
I do. Yeah. Didn't we talk earlier about I asked someone, it's like, do you guys know where Eiffel 65 is from?
Pandora.
No.
Where is Eiffel 65 from?
They're from Italy.
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, go figure. Yeah, so you, Victoria, were the first one of us to go out there and say, I have a hot take on Avatar 2, and I saw your post, and there was one word that you used to describe it, which was in my mind, especially through the middle third. But go ahead. Tell us about Smurfs Movie 2.
I'm wondering what
Lots
word.
of money.
Which word? Which of my words?
Well, you're going to start describing it, and I'm going to be like, that's a bingo.
Avatar, The Way of Water is boring.
There we go. Yes. Chicken dinner. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. To more or less, my spicy take is, man, that's the most boring movie I've watched this year. The plot was boring. The only thing that was cool was how how creative people are. You're showing these worlds that are unique and interesting and amazing. I cared the first time. I didn't care the next 400 times you go to this scene that shows this beautiful shot of the mountains. Okay, we all get tired of looking at the exact same shots over and over again. That's how I felt. Did either of you watch Avatar in the dual frame rate kind of theater?
No.
You would know because before the movie starts, because I watched it that way intentionally. Before the movie starts, you get like a disclaimer that comes on the screen that says, don't worry, your projector is just like changing or whatever. We're waiting on the projector. And it's like a good 15 minutes of you sitting in front of a black screen waiting for the movie to start.
So it's like it's got to like buffer the memory.
Yes. My
so many
suspicion
frames.
is that they have maybe even multiple projectors, because how do you project a dual frame rate? Wait, should we talk about what a dual frame rate is?
So normally movies are projected and filmed and projected in 24 frames per second, but then you have some interesting people who are highly influential who say, what if we change something fundamental about movies that's not inserting like a McDonald's ad every 5 minutes on the clock? What if we doubled the frame rate so it looks like a soap opera and complete trash?
It's like when you go to somebody's house and they haven't turned on off motion smoothing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that you won't recognize necessarily as happening unless you kind of pause for a second. And I think they did at least 2 different frame rates. Did they do 3 different frame rates? I don't
Couldn't
know.
tell.
Like they changed it while you were watching it?
It is actively in the scene. So you might have someone in the foreground that's in 60 and then the background is in 24, and then literally the next cut, it might be swapped or it might be one of them, and it changes almost every single cut, every single scene, and it makes it look like, granted, you're watching this beautiful video game cutscene.
Oh, of course. That's 3 hours and 14 minutes.
Now, I thought it was just me watching this movie being like, this looks wrong. And as I was leaving the theater, there was just some other patron that walked by and said, maybe I can't watch movies anymore. I've got such a headache. And I wanted to tell him, it's because of the frame rate.
Yeah.
It was, not only is it boring, but it's hard to look at. And it sucks that it's hard to look at because it could be a beautiful movie. And I hope that's what everyone else got out of it, because all I saw was the frame rate.
It was very pretty, but you had a point specifically about how it looked, especially in parts, about the CGI.
Oh, yeah. That looked like shit. It was bad.
There were parts I could tell, and you brought up like with the boats crashing and stuff. It looked like previs animation, like ta ta ta.
I mean, maybe the boat looked really good at 120 frames a second.
Or
well,
worse.
I think it's the other way around.
Yeah,
They were looking really bad at whatever 24 or 29, whatever we saw, whatever the standard is.
Yeah, I think it was 20. What I think they should have done is done a lower frame rate, so we had something else to complain about. It's like, man, this movie is really struggling hard to render this big planet that thing's going on.
Well, and I've heard the people that have watched it in a standard frame rate or have seen it in 3D are enjoying the movie better. And I think it's because you don't have that aspect that is distracting you even subconsciously.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact that the plot is boring as all get out.
You will get into that. I will say that we saw it at Roadhouse, and they had signs up that were like, all of our screenings are 2D.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Because these days, I'm sure you've like put that equipment in and then ripped it out to project that stuff. And then those huge...
Roadhouse never had it.
Sure. Yeah. That's even better.
Yeah.
But I think like Hollywood on the North End or something like that. I don't know if like Icon does 3D, but I'm thinking like Big D probably, and they've got these huge like melons of 3D glasses that they have to haul out of the closet so that people can watch it in 3D. So this is the sequel to Avatar, and it is half an hour longer than the first one. And I remember the first one was incredibly long. But what I will say about the first one was, and we saw it in 2D back then too, we did it at the Cinemark.
Oh.
First in Maine. Yeah. It was right there. I still worked at Best Buy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was how long ago that was. Insane. But the cool thing about the original Avatar was that like I was engrossed the entire time. Like it did not feel like an almost 3-hour movie. It felt like this thing is introducing stuff to me at such a pace that is so interesting that I don't even care if the plot kind of sucks. I'm just in this world. And when he gets on the bird and he's learning how to do that, like that felt like, oh my God, this is really, really cool. But watching this, my experience was, it was like watching a condensed cut of video game tutorials for 3 hours. All right. So this is the part where you have to hold down left bumper and press X to mount this air flying.
Connect your ponytail to the flying creature.
Jab A to make sure that interface is okay. Yes, there you go. QTE. There we go. It felt very mechanical, and there was a lot of this is boring.
Yeah, it was like I thought the first one was decent. Like I didn't like the whole, Earth coming and taking over the stuff, but I thought it was cool, like to see like a new planet, right? To see that, and cat people, right? You're like, there's cat people and stuff.
Blue cat people,
and then you get to see how like they lived and everything like that. So I thought that was cool, and I think they did that a little bit, but not enough. I mean, they would always, every time somebody connected, right? They like showing like, we're connecting. So, like, to bring that, but it wasn't as much as it was like originally. This was more about like the whole conflict between Jake and what's his face. Like that was it. That was like,
let's get into this. Let's just say we're spoilers. Okay. We're just
spoilers.
If you have not seen like now the 8th highest grossing movie of all time, maybe see it, maybe. Like, maybe I don't know. So the plot is like a note-for-note recreation of the first movie.
Yes.
So where they bring back Steve Lang as the human and the villain to take down the native people. Except now he's a tall Avatar blue man too.
But he came just to get Jake. That was all he cared about.
Yeah. Except. Everything else, like
except for everything else.
Yes,
I mean,
that was his motivation, definitely.
He didn't go after everything else he did was in purpose to get to Jake, and then afterwards he was just gonna probably destroy whatever, right? But like he was like, I'm only here for Jake.
He was gonna what he was gonna do was he was gonna retire to the I'm going to whale brains out of
whale brain juice,
mine whale. Brain juice in this sci-fi container that glows from their pleasure centers, because that's like $80 million a pop right there. I'm just recreating the guy. He had an accent. All right, stop.
Meanwhile, Jermaine Clement is doing
and he has an American accent. Yeah,
sort of.
He did really good. I gave him props.
Did you? No.
Yeah, I gave him props.
I'm glad someone did.
Yeah, because I was and he's this marine biologist who's like, man, I'm just getting paid for this. I'm not really into, the whole spending half an hour of this movie hunting down a whale and then
right. Because he's
press B to attack from below. Excellent, you did it.
I like how we're talking about the least influential character of the entire movie. Let's take a moment to break this down.
Yeah. I think they tried to give him more. Like they tried to make you feel bad for him.
He should have been the main character.
Yes.
But the movie should have been like, here's Jermaine Clement. Like this
is probably like the 1,000th turtle whale that he's harvested.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. So
he can go back to base camp and turn him in and level up.
But I'm just saying you can't feel bad for this guy, because they tried making you feel bad. Like he's just like, man, I'm just doing this is just what I gotta do.
I'm just following orders.
Yeah, right. But come on, bro. Like, how many of these have you killed? You're pretty good at this. Obviously, this is not the first one. And what's your research? Making people younger, so you have to have this. So
of course.
So you dude. It obviously wasn't working because he wasn't young. So I'm just saying.
No, yeah. I mean, so he's evil.
Yeah. But they tried making him. Yeah.
Did he die?
We never saw. But
did he die?
He was on the boat. We saw the one guy.
Yeah.
We didn't even see that guy die. We just saw an appendage being cut off.
That was nice and gruesome. They said the S word so many times. I'm like, is this PG-13? I thought they had you could do 2. Maybe it's 2 per hour. Because it was 20. So
my God.
It was so many.
Speaking of the S word, can we talk about Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah, let's talk about Sigourney Weaver and how she
doing in the movie.
Yeah.
She played herself. She played her immaculately conceived daughter.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was her, but
it was her.
But the whole hologram of herself, I don't even know what that was. Why was that there?
So the idea is that her avatar, because she died in the first one, but her avatar was magically pregnant by the god of Avatar world.
Palpatine.
Yeah.
Somehow Palpatine conceived. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And gave birth to daughter who is played by Sigourney Weaver playing a 10-year-old. And that is so strange to look at the moment you realize it's her. Because then all you can see is Sigourney Weaver's face in a small blue 10-year-old body.
But to be like, it was easy to get thrown off because she doesn't sound.
She still sounds like she's 60-something.
Yeah,
right.
She honestly sounded younger. Like it was easy to believe that she was, a younger version of herself.
I don't know.
Who played Galaxy Quest.
I don't think so.
Well, okay, I can see that.
Then again,
too.
maybe I did just watch Holes. And she's in Holes.
Okay, or Alien.
I watch Alien a lot.
Okay, maybe it was the frame rate that really changed her voice.
And maybe that just accentuated all of the distracting things. Because again, I just kept looking at her face,
Yeah.
and only seeing Sigourney Weaver and a 70-year-old voice coming out of this body, and it was so distracting.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, this does not look dramatically better than it did 14 years ago. There were clearly huge set pieces. Like this movie, there is so much movie in this movie. They built an entire, like most of the movie is them just building out this world. Imagine a very slow tour of Universal Studios, and it's like, yeah, you guys certainly did a lot of this. I've now spent 3 hours going to this theme park, and my God.
It's been nominated for Best Picture, and like I said, I don't think it's the best picture, but it certainly is the most picture.
It is the most picture I have seen. I said it when we got out. It's like, I don't need to see anything for a week because my brain is still processing all of this stuff that they did.
Well, and that's why it's disappointing, for me at least, was those... everything you can say about Sigourney Weaver's character... that drives me crazy. But when she's swimming underwater and there's all of these creatures around her and they've built this whole ocean ecosystem, it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then they do the scene again. And then they do the scene again. And then they do it. And I just got so burnt out with seeing the exact same underwater scenes over and over again. It's like, I get it. This was really impressive the first couple times. And I'm just not impressed anymore.
Yeah, they had... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they just did a bad job of trying to give you, like, that she's the chosen one or something.
Oh, they did do a bad job.
Because it's like, because it seemed like she was like afraid or was terrible at the water, and then all of a sudden she's sitting there commanding everything, and everybody's like looking at her like,
she unlocked that mode, that ability,
right? But like everybody like
a video game,
But everybody's looking at her like, wow, that's weird. Nobody knows how to do that. She does, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, this is normal. But then she touches a tree and has a seizure, and everybody's just like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah, and then
so like that's why I was so confused. I was like, they didn't answer anything. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, like, we were talking about because she has that seizure, and they set up Chekhov's gun. It's like if she does this again, she could die, and then she doesn't do it again.
She doesn't do it again.
Yeah, and it's like she still starts controlling stuff. And you're like, wait, isn't that like? Aren't you getting close to like?
And you're like flipping back through your script, like, hang on, like,
so like you're able to start like throwing stuff around. And the other thing that was really confusing to me because they didn't tell you about this until is how did in the first one, they never talk. They don't they talk to like their birds and stuff like people talk to horses, right? But whales are talking back to people. I was so confused when he started talking to that whale. Like he was like the whale was going to understand him, and then the whale started talking back, and I was like, wait.
But then even the kid says, dude, I don't know what you're saying.
But he did.
Oh, but the best line is the little girl that's handcuffed to the ship saying, "I can't believe I'm handcuffed again."
I know, darn it.
So that wasn't.
Thank you.
This was so. Sam Worthington, Jake Sully, and Zoe Saldana. I don't remember her characters. I don't remember anyone's character's name.
Nobody.
Steve Lang.
Oh.
Steve Lang.
What?
They have 4 kids, and the entire motion, the entire underpinning of the movie is based on one of them going missing, and they have to retrieve them, but then they lose another one. So then they have to go back out and retrieve them. And then they lose another one, and they go back out to retrieve them. And so it is like...
And then one's finally permanently lost.
And then one's finally...
Wow.
And that's the only way that movie ever ended, is that they just... had to reduce the number of kids that they that they were sending out and being captured. And I can't believe I'm handcuffed to this ship again. Like
neither can we. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what was
Thanks
the
for
point of
talking to the
Spider
audience.
at all?
I was wondering that. So Spider is the baby of Steve Lang's character who can't
but
go into
what?
cryosleep.
I get that, but like he had no plot. Like he was
His job was to just look at displays and go,
Like to be
grimace.
Final motivation.
for what?
For the I don't remember his name. God, I'm having to remember names.
Steve Lang,
Which one's that?
the general guy.
Yeah.
But what was his final motivation?
To I don't know. He cared for his kid, maybe.
But it wasn't about his
not.
kid.
Yeah, and then
Wait,
his
it wasn't
kid,
his kid.
but it was
Because he was a clone.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't.
The
He was
evidence
a
is still.
clone?
Yeah, the
that's
Navi of him was
because
a
he
clone.
died at the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
So, and that's why they set it up, and it was really confusing because you have this scene where
They were all dead. All the people. Were
So
dead.
they brought him back as a Navi and as a little kid.
No, the kid was there. The kid is his
real.
kid.
Yeah.
The kid is the original
That's-
Steve Lang's
that's what I'm
kid.
But the
saying.
Navi
Yeah.
is a clone of him.
Yes, yes.
And that's what they set up because
Yeah.
and it was very confusing to me because they have the scene where it's them and they're in the forest and they're explaining life on Pandora, and then they cut to him and waking up in a medical bed, and it's like, is that Jake Sully? Because they all look the same.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? It's like,
was
no,
confused.
bro, it's your pals, Lieutenant. What's your face?
Right.
You
I
know?
was real confused about
I
that
was
at first.
really, really confused. And then they brought Steve Lang back 14 years later, and I was wondering, like, did they do makeup or something? Because Giovanni Ribisi's in there reprising his role. So I don't know if they just did hair coloring or something. But they're like, he's explaining, you died out there, but I brought you back. Exactly. So we brought you back on Earth. It's a clone of you and all your memories, and you're coming back on this ship. But you're also a Navi now, so that you're 10 feet tall, and you have all these abilities, and you know how to speak Navi,
But not very well, obviously.
but not very well. Because
That was what Spider was.
that's
That
why
was
Spider was there. He's like,
translator.
you're doing
Yeah.
a terrible job, Dad.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not my son.
Yeah.
And so then the movie is them being chased out. They have to go to the water Navi, who are slightly more green and have giant fins or clubbed forearms or something like that, because they're
big
hiding.
tail.
And a bigger tail, and they're making fun of them.
And big shoulders, too.
Broader shoulders. And it was like
Yeah,
Kate
you could
Winslet
tell.
was the queen, the pregnant queen, I think she was. And so they have to integrate into this new tribe. They're accepted. And, of course, there's cultural things. It's like, you're from the forest, I'm from the water. This
we're
can never
completely
work.
different, yeah.
Yeah, very different. And somehow we were talking about evolution. It's like how in this world of Pandora were they able to evolve so much that they were different? I mean, it's like
So different. Yeah, so different.
So different.
To
Exactly.
but they're all cool with each other.
But they're also biologically compatible with the world tree.
Yeah.
That's
They
part
had a
of
different
Gaia.
world tree, though.
Yeah, they had an
Theirs
underwater
is an
tree.
underwater world
They're
tree.
so they're underwater forest.
Yeah, because they had like different gods, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what? Why?
That's why we waited 14 years for this, 13 years for this, was so that he could set up an entire new universe. And not just this one, like 3 more. And then as they're integrating, they're doing the entire Disney Channel TV show thing where they're like, you guys are different. We're going to be bullies. We're going to send you off to a place you shouldn't be. And then the kid almost gets killed. What's happened? Oh, he meets a giant whale shark, but he's an outcast. Huh?
Whale turtle.
Yeah, exactly. Whale, turtle, shark, whatever. Biological entity that's in the sea. And they introduce that. That takes forever.
had to save
why is
him.
it? Yeah, I know. We had to.
And they had to bond.
They had to bond. And when Whale Turtle came up and do that, I was waiting for Qui-Gon to pop up. It's like, there's always a bigger fish.
But that was the thing that confused
That's our
me
Phantom
too.
Menace.
That's our
reference
Phantom Menace
for the
here
week.
for the week.
But so he killed a smaller version of him. That was like literally him. That that was just like a small. But then I was like, so at first I was like, okay, cool. But then they're like, no, these are our brothers and sisters. And I'm like, wait, why did that little one go after a Navi then if they're brothers and sisters?
I thought there was like a shark, not a whale turtle.
I
It looked the same. It looked just like a miniature.
Everyone in this movie looks the same.
Everyone and everything. And
Yeah, except for Jermaine Clement. He looks different.
He was the standout character.
Yeah, and Spider with his gas mask on, like, at everything.
But like, it really bothered me whenever I saw with the C ones where they had bigger shoulders and everything. Because I'm like, wait, hold on. If they're climbing around the forest, they'd be jacked too. Like they'd have huge arms, they'd have huge calves, everything. But they're just like all tiny, getting made fun of and everything. But it's like they're climbing around the forest. They got to do all that stuff too. It's not like they're just sitting on the ground not doing anything.
Sure, or letting the water do all the work. You know,
exactly. Just
friggin' wave
lounging.
Pool. Yeah. And then why didn't in the final confrontation? Why didn't the tribes people like go out, send messengers out and be like, yo, of the 50 tribes here, we could really work together. And so it's not just the 24 of us here and face down this giant boat that's trying to murder us all.
And they took that boat. I mean, granted, it was a whale turtle that helped, but they were able to take it down really easy. So it's like, why didn't they do this before? They're just
because they only have 3.5 hours.
But I'm saying they're letting these sky people come in and just harvest all their whale happiness.
Yeah.
But they could easily take it out. They could easily take them out. I don't understand. They've killed probably like 10 million of those whale things.
Yeah.
So the only good part.
It's very pretty when it's not.
It's very pretty. And all that to say about the runtime, the beginning montage, getting to where we are with Jake Sully's teen kids, I thought was actually pretty well done. Explaining how we got there, seeing how he becomes more of a tribe. I thought that was actually really well cut, made a lot of sense.
Like when they see the star and the ships are coming from Earth, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed that they didn't keep that crispness throughout the rest of the movie. Because I think all of that could be there, but it wasn't. It was, 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Part of what you're saying, though, I was a little confused because they were, like, talking. It seemed like whoever was narrating was, like, upset that they were learning English, but then, like, they talked in English the entire time. I was just sitting there thinking that, like, maybe Jake, like, if he didn't want his kids, because that's who I thought it was talking, if he didn't want his kids to be speaking English, then he would speak in Navi more. But he didn't.
Or maybe he was.
Or maybe he was the whole time.
Who knows?
We don't know. It's the universal translator of Star Trek.
Okay, yeah, but then why have subtitles on the screen for some
and why are they still in papyrus?
And they're still in papyrus.
That's how Navi font is. But I'm just saying, like,
when you're on Pandora, they have access to one license.
But I'm just saying, like, there's. I mean, I get the universal translator, but like, just don't make Spider translate at all, because they were able to easily tell that they're not Navi by their guns and their sunglasses and their dog tags and their clothes.
They looked so ridiculous.
They didn't have to sit there and be like, "Hey, let me hear you say Tree of Life and Navi or whatever, so I could pick up your Sky People accent." They didn't need to do that.
Yeah, there was no deception.
It had real Tropic Thunder vibes.
Yeah. That's just was bothering me when he's like, no, you don't say it like that. But then the rest of the movie, they're just speaking in English.
Yeah. It's too much work.
Yeah.
They've already spent billions of dollars. But
they literally brought it up. They brought it up like they're speaking.
There's a lot of stuff this movie wants to do and then doesn't. And then it accomplishes so much more.
That it doesn't.
That it doesn't. It's just absolutely insane. Speaking of absolutely insane, and I'm surprised you didn't bring this up, or maybe you will. When the boat tips over and there's the flume of flames around them in a ring, and it's like, oh, is this 1960 Mid-Atlantic? Where's the lighthouse at? It looked. Watching that happen, it was like, oh my god, this is a flashback to 2007. And we're crashing in the Atlantic, and it's BioShock.
I was too disappointed to make a BioShock reference. Honestly,
it looked just like.
Oh my god!
Where's the Ayn Rand?
That was the thing. That fire went underwater too, like all the way 360.
It was. I don't know.
100. It was 180 degrees, except for because they couldn't just swim underground. Well, but they're like all swimming around and everything. But this time they can't swim.
This movie has rules.
Okay.
Does it?
I don't know if it. I mean, it has some rules. I think they need to license D&D so that they can get some rule sets. You can roll some dice or something like that.
Is a legitimately cool universe, cool setting. All the setting stuff was great.
Yeah.
And that's why it's disappointing. Why it's such a disappointing movie to watch, because I think anybody could realize the potential that's there. I think this is just a classic situation where nobody told James Cameron, no, that's a bad idea.
He kept coming back as like, this thing's going to make so much money. You can't do anything about it. And then what happens? It does. Without
He's
fail.
not wrong.
He's not. Yeah, he's king of the world. He wasn't wrong.
I didn't want to see this movie. You forced me to.
I know.
You contributed it to
I know.
him.
Yes.
Okay.
So that we could have this conversation now.
Did you all like the first one?
I did.
I liked the concept of it. I didn't like the length, and I didn't like the constant war stuff. I thought it was a little too much. I thought from everything I remember, I was just like, it just seemed.
And this was
very
only
trivial.
18 minutes longer than the Batman, which we went to like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Batman was a good movie.
I'm pretty sure I
was
saw that movie 3 times in theaters. So
The Batman?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I enjoyed that movie, and it did not feel long. So
It was all right. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, we missed the Batman podcast.
Yeah. What if we go back in time and just do that?
I saw that movie 3 times. We went back in time.
But did you get the Batman mask popcorn bowl?
No.
Oh.
Bummer.
Oh, God, man.
And I watched it outside of the theaters too. So,
Oh.
I've watched it at home a couple times.
yeah.
You just sat outside a theater with your phone?
Yes. Yeah. I was pirating it. outside of the theater.
Wow.
I had my
Dedication.
camera set up inside the
It
theater.
is
It's just-
drone.
yeah, inside the theater.
You just flew one in.
Yeah, just hopefully they won't hear it over the quiet scene at the beginning.
Yeah.
Or at the
Yeah.
end.
With a huge
All the-
title card on
Yeah.
there. So there's going to be 3 more of these. That was good.
And that's the opinion.
Yeah.
It's just one very long sigh.
So what's going to happen is, and I forecast this now, and I forecasted this before as we were leaving. So what's going to happen is that Steve Lang is going to come to them at the water place, and they're going to go, no, you can't stay here. We should have kicked you out at the end, even though we told you could stay because your kid was dead, is now part of the sea, which is part of the planet, which is now part of our tribe. Now you have to leave, because this is the beginning of the new movie. So they have to go somewhere else. And they go to, and this is based on what James Cameron has said about the third one, is there's going to be fire Navi. So they have to go to a volcano and meet the red volcano Navi and collect all 64 Donkey Kong coins. And then they're going to have to there will be flying dinosaurs, but they'll go in lava. And to do that, they have to understand that the fire is the beginning and the fire is the end. And that's how they will survive the scalding magma, because magma on Pandora is tuned into their biological frequency. So if they believe in the religiosity and faith of the magma, and then so what's going to happen is that one of them's going to get injured because they weren't believing in the magma enough. Okay. And they're going to call in help from Forest Land because they're still out there. And they're going to find, which was one of the dumbest things, is my kid is hurt. Please send out this helicopter that is easily traced to where we're going. And they're going to do that out there. And then Steve Lang's going to show up in some other robotic contraption of some kind, probably a mech, a bigger mech. Sorry, he already did the mech thing earlier. He died in a mech. He crushed his own skull. That was probably the coolest part of the movie, is he crushes that isn't me.
Who cares?
We will when we see it in 2 years.
That was one of the things that killed me too. Is they had the freaking crab mechs too. Their job.
That was actually really cool. I like that a lot.
Not at all.
The submarines were lame.
They were all lame. Why?
This is the
But dude, you
least
could be a
cool
crab, dude.
franchise I've ever seen.
I would
Those
buy a
guys-
Lego set of Avatar crabs.
Those guys, is there were the CG people that they had in there, or maybe they had real people doing these, but they were doing huge arm motions in the crab cockpits.
Yeah, that's what you
I was
do.
like,
That's
oh
how you get
my
it done.
Yeah.
And then they had to detail the sequence where they punctured the submarine's cockpit, and then they're getting out and escaping, and it's this movie has everything. This movie has literally everything. I'm sure if you watch this in 8K, You could probably zoom in enough and watch us watching the movie.
Yeah.
In all of the infinite multiverses that this movie has.
Yeah, because there was like everything. It was war,
all
romance,
of everything. Yeah.
Like childhood, like people growing up,
adulthood.
Yeah, all that stuff was in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aliens. And
Aliens.
Profound
Sky.
statement.
Yeah.
About this awful.
Like destruction of the planet too, and they're burning the planet.
When they landed, and there was like just firestorms everywhere, and it was like Fern Gully or something.
Yeah.
When Hexus shows up,
The more we talk about it, the more I hate this movie.
we are doing a really good. And if you're listening or watching at home or wherever you're at, we hope you hated it too. I'm kidding. Enjoy what you like, okay?
Like what you like. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum.
Let's not yuck any yums here. But Avatar 2 is a movie.
It is.
Wow. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
It is the most picture.
It has definitely the most frames.
Yeah.
So do you add all of the frames?
Yeah, and then divide by 2.
Yeah.
No, you don't divide. Because they're simultaneous.
Well, that's how you make the third, fourth, and fifth ones.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. So fire for 3. Is it snow for 4? And then
They gotta have like lightning or something. See, that would be too cool.
So
that
that's
I
like
don't think they'll
Gremlins
make
2.
it in.
Yeah, they have to get into the electronics.
I mean, I was just because I was thinking. I told him afterwards that it felt like Zelda, like the Switch Zelda game. Because I was just like, yeah, okay. Then if the next one is going to be the volcano people and everything like that, and they're gonna have to wear like, oh, you can't, Jake's can't. You have to, I don't know, wear this.
You have to wear whale blubber. You have to kill that one outcast whale shark turtle
because you /sea people can't stand the heat. So
exactly.
You're not acclimated to this.
You may be acclimated to magma, but are you acclimated to frozen water?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they have all that stuff. There's the lightning stuff and Zelda too. So I think he's probably been playing those games.
I'm sure. What else has he been doing for 14 years?
Yeah. And he's like, dang, that's a good idea.
He's like on a farm in New Zealand with his wife.
I think he has life-size like Na'vi like statues in his house.
Let's let James Cameron make a movie with Hideo Kojima, and they could make a very big, very dumb movie that might actually be better.
I was actually wondering, like, if you took this and turned it into like a 5-part streaming thing, and it's like, well, how would you even make the money back on that?
There is no way. Like, if they would have released this on streaming, I don't think anybody would have watched it. Because, first of all, nobody wants another Avatar.
But
the only reason...
Because they
apparently
everybody went and watched it.
We all watched it.
I honestly don't think people watched it because they wanted to see
But I think we were duped. So maybe the third one, that's like, maybe... I don't know. Maybe James Cameron just has this magic where people just, I have to watch the new James Cameron movie.
They're like, wow,
Yes.
remember Titanic?
Yeah. Let's watch Avatar 3. Yeah.
I mean, what is it? The 25th anniversary of it is coming out this year?
Yeah.
Which I'm definitely going to go see. I want to go see what that looks like in 4K.
That's how he does it!
I want to see what it looks like in 4K.
Yeah. That's how he does it.
At least real time has passed.
Why aren't they bringing back True Lies?
He made True Lies?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Oh,
that was his movie after Terminator 2 and before Titanic.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was his.
Yeah. So where is it? Because that movie's way too long, too. That movie has so much movie in it.
Somebody tell James, settle down, cut your movie.
No, because he makes too much money.
Right?
You can't lose with James Cameron. Go watch Avatar or don't. Who knows? You probably will. It's Star Wars.
It's an American tradition.
Yeah. Wait until the Avatar Andor comes. You can never Avatar Andor, where it's Avatar, but it's espionage. It's a war movie, and everyone's be like, as appreciator of fine arts, I truly appreciate this Avatar heist film that is really rooted in 60s spy and war movies.
In 60 frames per second.
It's yes, indeed. For those listening or watching at home, thank you guys so much for joining me, Kelly, Victoria, to talk about. We are not talking about Smurfs again for a long time. Be sure to like and subscribe and all that fun social media stuff. I know some of you guys are like, hey, welcome to Hot Takes and Stream Breaks. Be sure to like and subscribe. I know you would just like X out immediately. I'm saving it at the end because I'm nice. I'm trying to help you out. If you have Avatar comments or questions, or just comments or questions about whatever this thing is that we're doing, or stuff you'd like us to answer or address on the air, please send an email. And I got the right email to address this time. I think I did it last time too. But send an email to podcasts@6035media.org. That's 60 spelled out, SIXTY, and put Hot Takes somewhere in the subject line. This has been Hot Takes and Stream Breaks. I didn't write anything after that. I'm just improvising this. I'm going to stop record right